Professor Oduol.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to indeed indicate that it is true that ICPD 25 is going to be a follow-up to Cairo. But Mr. Speaker, as I start, I would like to also emphasize that normally when we have international conferences, Mr. Speaker, we get international or world commitments, and then we usually get country commitments. It is from the perspective of the country commitment, Mr. Speaker, that I believe the earlier conversation by the Leader of Majority, the contribution, and Honorable Shamala was raised. But Mr. Speaker, I rise as a member of the Committee of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. And Mr. Speaker, anytime that we get to deal with international agreements, and if we come up with areas that could be seen to be offensive to cultures and contexts, we ensure, Mr. Speaker, that those who are engaged and who are participating along the line will look for the devil, which is usually in the details. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is my request that when we look at the committees that the Honorable Ochanda is saying were the committees that would then be the ones registering, that, Mr. Speaker, we cannot ignore the Committee on Sports, Culture, and Tourism, because a key concern with the international commitments, and Mr. Speaker, if we had more time, we would see that the reason why now 25 years later, the ICPD 25 is coming to go back on what they call the zero achievements. And Mr. Speaker, one of them goes contrary to our Constitution in the sense that we are going to find that our Constitution does not allow direct access to abortion except in a context where it is deemed that the mother's life could be threatened. And therefore, my submission, Mr. Speaker, is that because this is an international conference, and because indeed we in Kenya have had opportunity even to host in 1985 an international conference, we have lessons of how we ensure that we allow a conversation, we let global conversations take place, but we do have a very sensitive framework to allow national commitments to be sensitive to the culture, to be responsive to the context, and indeed not to contravene the Constitution. And so, Mr. Speaker, my submission and my request is that the Committee of Culture, Sports, and Tourism be one of the committees that would then be doing accreditation, because we can look through and we can see the extent to which we would bring a conversation that would protect our interests. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.